off of somebody else for My Way. And Bowie had already was going to use those, but then because of My Way, he couldn't use them. So then he wrote this sort of anti-My Way. Life on Mars was sort of apparently Bowie's sort of like, it was sort of like an insult um, to Frank Sinatra for like making a big hit out of My Way. But then everybody says, okay, well, it's just the same chords, and it's true that it starts out. It's the it's the same sort of chord progression as regrets. I've had a few, but then again, anyway. But then what he does with it after that is so different and cool. Like that's not in My Way.
No.
And then he goes into this completely other thing. I mean, that's not My Way, because you can't say like it's the same chord progression as My Way when like all this cool stuff is completely different.
Can't say that. Why would you say that?
Whoever said it was...
I didn't tell you I started recording, but maybe you should have suspected as much. It's right in the middle of your thing. But here's what I'm curious about is, what's your progression there? You somehow that song gets stuck in your head and you start playing it, and then do you do like an internet dive on the history of it?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of maps. A friend of mine plays various wind instruments, as we have this show coming up, and I was like, how can we take advantage of these talents? And so he sent a bunch of songs that, and I've never really listened to Life on Mars. It was never really a big one on my radar. And he put that on and I listened to it and I was like, this is cool. And then I started to learn it. And then in learning it, I like went through 3 phases of learning it, where the first time through I was like, this is clunky as hell. But then like I started finding like all these little note movements that made the chords relate to each other that wasn't obvious at first. And so then I became sort of obsessed with how cool it was. And there's so many great lines in it. Like, this like, it's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. And at first I had a theory for all of it until I got to that point. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. So I started looking the internet for theories, and that's where I read some of that other stuff.
There it is. So
it's a very strange lyrical journey.
Yeah. It's not quite, that's not quite Dylan, but it's something.
Yeah. It's like a psychedelic Dylan.
Yeah. Psychedelic. Well, all right. I haven't finished that last song, but I did it. Maybe since we last, I sent it to you since we last chatted in this format.
So good. It's so good. So can you explain to me why that's not good enough yet? Like, can you pick one detail? I just like to hear your process. Like, I listen to that, I'm just like completely taken away. I think it's there.
But but you know how it is with your own.
But I want to hear it from your thing. Like, do you have anything that like at the beginning part or like after 30 seconds, there's something about it that's not quite right? I just like to hear what a detail is.
It's been a few days since I've heard it, so I can't remember really.
Can you play it and play it for the audience?
I don't think I know how to do that yet. I will get that. I will add that skill to my repertoire, but
to the to-do list.
It's close. I mean, so when I finished it, is I think I sent it to you at 1 a.m. my time, and I was like, I think it's great. But I have to say, the first time I recorded it and I finished a late night session with it, I almost brought myself to tears with the ending because I was just like, this is the best I can ever do. Like, it may not be great, but I've left it all on the field, and I was moved by it. It was sort of meaningful, and I was just like, that's the best I'll ever do. Oh no, there's your picture. And then, I was happy with it in the morning, and then about a week later, I was like, oh, half of this is a train wreck. So
did you still love the end, or did you?
I still love the end. I still love the end. the but then that's happened enough. I'm sure that's happened to you too, where now I know, like, even at the end of the night I might think this is there, but I just have to give it some time, let it breathe, and then come back to it, and then you hear it more clearly. So I thought that was going to happen this time, and I thought it was going to be much farther behind where it is. But then when I did go back and listen to it after a solid day of break, I was like, no, it's actually it's there. It's at 90 or 95%. So now what's outstanding is just going through and being like, oh, that's a little flat, or oh, that I didn't quite hit that chord, or there could be something a little better right there, or you just hear something different, like, oh, that's what and if I hear it different when I'm playing it now, I'm going to hear it different every time I play it for the rest of my life, like wishing that I had sort of fixed that one little spot. So at this point, I think it's 5 or 6 spots where I'm just like, oh, that was slightly out of rhythm, or something that I didn't quite love about it.
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know what those exact moments are, because I totally know what you're saying, and I feel like there have been times where you have saved me from fixing something
Fixing them, yeah.
that was the magic that I thought, and you were like, no, 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 you got to leave that.
Yeah,
You've let me fix other things, or you've suggested things that I didn't even think of. But oftentimes, the thing that I want to fix,
yeah, that's right.
so
Like a warble here or there that you come to love every time you hear it. Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's fair.
Well,
Yeah, I
also,
can't.
it'd just be curious to know, just to hear like what hangs in your ear, and it's maybe be nice for me to externalize that moment to realize these things that feel so like for me when I listen to
Yeah.
my own stuff, and being like, oh, that's
Well, there
it's
was
nice.
also what I ended up having to do to redo it is I had the first couple choruses of My Country 'Tis of Thee, and then it brings in uh, Lift Every Voice and Sing, but it starts kind of like a little hidden, and then it becomes more prominent the second time around. And I just had to replay that entire section because I kept coming back to it, and I kept opening it, and I was trying to just figure out how to adjust it. And finally, I realized the problem is it's just too cluttered and clumpy. It just, like, I knew what I was trying to do, but I just hadn't executed it. So then trying to edit your way around a fundamentally flawed take was the problem. So I finally, but then just for various sort of technical reasons, it was hard to redo. But I finally, that's what I bit the bullet and redid it. And then, like, with the benefit of time and space and the clearer sense of what I was trying to do, I just felt like it worked way better, and I could really,
Mm.
like, it's got the arc that I was really going for in terms of the narrative of the
Yeah.
song.
So now it's just maybe a
Yeah, now it's a couple
couple of
screws.
nudges.
Yeah, but it was sort of, yeah, it was sort of like the pier was really solid for a while, and then it got to the point where it's just like boards were loose and the waves had damaged it, and you're just trying to think, where do we put the boards over here, where do we tighten screws here? It just wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's cool that you're getting to the finish line. It's so
Yeah, well, I'm
nice. It's such a
excited. I'm
beautiful thing.
excited to get, it is sort of amazing how long it's taken to get 3 songs that I feel comfortable with, but I'm really close, and then I will put them up finally. And
Yeah,
even doing
that's
that
great.
makes me more excited for some of the other music production songs, like the Castle Walls and those other ones like that. Just It's just like anything. Doing, getting used to running makes you have more appetite for running, or whatever it might be. Gets your joints unstiffened. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I've been spending a lot of time sort of just like playing with life on bars.
Oh, that's
That's what in the last couple of days. Also, there's this great song called "Kukuru Kuku Kukuru Kuku Paloma," which is this like it's this guitar song that is. Dicen que por las noches, and it just like has this no, and then it goes, "Cuckoo, cuckoo." And it's so different. It's so amazing how it seems to be like this completely other species of song. But both of these things are in the category of sort of preparing for the next show. So wait, I guess
We
we did talk after
talked about the last
after the
show.
last show,
When is the next show?
and the next show is August 5th.
Uh,
So my battery says it's gonna die. I don't want that to happen. So yeah, August 5th, and so tonight actually we're having just a whole horde of people come over to. We sort of agreed that Friday nights were going to be um music night where just everyone will come and we'll sort of half think about the next show and half just hoot and holler and have a good time, and we'll
sounds
just
great.
sort of do that every Friday, and that's semi dream come true in the sense. So we'll see if it plays out, but that's always been sort of a thought of mine. I like having a weekly music
Yeah.
night that's half for fun and half preparing for something, where because there's something so great to me about having an idea, somebody saying, oh, wouldn't this be great at the show?
Yeah.
Like on the one hand you want to just play and have fun and not have the pressure of being like, oh, we're preparing, but there's something cool about saying like, oh, this would be this great transition, and wouldn't that be awesome, thinking about
Yeah.
it in terms of a show.
It's just enough of a container, isn't it? I remember a buddy of mine always, or like, yeah, this is not uncommon, but I remember one buddy of mine specifically talking about how like just making music to make music was really hard for him. But if someone gave him a project, could you do a such and such for this,
Yeah.
or just any container? It's like I'm on it. You just the little boundaries around a specific project or a performance or something are just so helpful, as opposed to the universe of possibility of what you should do next. Like the
Yeah.
boundaries of there actually there's a fair amount of boundaries, even though you set up the show in such a cool way that it can be anything, but still it's got to be something that you can do in front of people on that particular stage with whatever equipment or instruments that you have. It does give you some really useful restrictions.
Yeah, and it's I really, there is something I think structurally about that first show, the last show, that really works in the sense that it's we talk about this one. Something Katrina always says is like form and freedom. Like in order to be free, you have to have some form in which to be in which to be free, and having a couple of sets that sort of go, sort of take up, entertain people for an hour and a half or whatever, with things that you're planning for. So you're just like, oh, we definitely want to play this. We want to play this. How might those roll into each other? So you do have some things that are set up as we're starting to call them planter boxes, because we don't want to really dictate what happens in there, but we want to give them things, their chunks. But then having what we did last time, the third set being, we have these books, people say what they want, maybe they'll say something else, whatever, so that way anything else can happen. And at that point in the night it feels great because everybody's already the if there anyone's still there is all in, and
That's cool.
so then it's just like anything goes.
That's awesome. Cool, man. That's awesome. So where on the there was the sort of energetic spectrum. You had a show coming up. You were excited about it, and then the closer it got, the more anxiety provoking. And then the day of, you're just like, why do I do this to myself? And then you did it, and then maybe you're still in a dip after doing it, and then maybe it comes up. Where are you on that roller coaster?
Yeah, I'm coming up. I've gotten so much really positive feedback since the show. I think I sort of surprised. As I was talking, my parents visited over the weekend, and they asked Katrina how the show was. She's like, how did you like the show? And she said, and I think the question was like, well, how did it compare to the last time we performed together? And she said, oh, this was by far my favorite show of all the things we've ever done. And I was a little bit like, and then people have been coming up to me being like, it was so the word magical. People keep saying magical. Like that word more than anything has been said back to me, like that the evening was magical. And And so, yeah, that I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So that's definitely making me reevaluate in a positive light. I don't exactly know what I thought was wrong with it, but I guess I felt a little bit, I was chaos muppet a little bit, but I think it was working. I was definitely MC, like, but I was doing it in a way that was very pointing at other people ish.
That's so cool, man. We got to start working on getting a video person who will think of it as a fun, like equally
Yeah,
magical to show up and capture. Um, what was I going to say about it though? Oh, um, yeah, yeah. You reminded me about this phenomenon that I know we both have a little bit. But after some performance, or actually, it could be a performance, it could even be a presentation for work or anything, but something where you sort of put yourself out there and you do your best to deliver, I don't know, entertainment or value or whatever it is. It's almost like I don't know if it's like pristine snow without any footprints in it, or just like just like an even layer of Jello, or something like that, where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's there.
Clean.
Yeah, it's clean, but also it's like I'm fully blank on how I feel about it. And it
Okay.
matters so much how people respond. And I think at some level it should, you should be able to just be like, I feel good about that, and
Yeah,
that's what matters.
that's the implication. People are like, all that matters is how you feel about it. It's like, really?
How I feel about it is I would like everyone else to have loved it.
Yeah, because it's an active communication. It's just like if you could say the most brilliant thing in the world, if the person you're saying it to doesn't hear it,
Yeah.
then it didn't work as an act of communication.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
matter how smart it was or how right it was. It just matters if the message got from point A to point B.
well said. But of course, the more message receivers there are, the more then you're subject to the like tyranny of the
Yeah.
of the grump.
Well, I thought you were going the other direction with it, which is the more people that are available to receive it, the more chances that somebody will get it. So
Which would
both
be
are true.
nice, but I think we've talked before about how easy it is to
Yeah.
overweight the
Yeah. Yeah.
the grumpy person on the side, or the person who's like, no, it's fine, it was good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good. Nice try.
Do you always do that thing? You always do that thing? No, okay.
Quick
No, it's
question.
cool.
Why do you do that?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
I actually had that reaction a few times, even to those like music videos I've done. It's like, oh yeah, why do you do that? I can't answer that. I mean, you win. Right off the bat, you win. But
This checkmate. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's they're siding with the oppressors, and they're carrying the weight of the oppressors with them. They're saying, "Look, we already won. We already won, and this decision is over.
yeah,
Don't do that."
yeah,
It's like, okay, I guess.
yeah. Okay, fair point.
No, you win. You win. You win by not even understanding what the hell they're talking
Yeah,
about.
man. Well, it's great that you're doing a show. So that's where your energy is pointed these days, uh, playing Life on Mars and prepping for your show. And you got your brouhaha tonight. That's exciting. What a
Yeah, I mean,
cool thing after all this time to now have like a weekly brouhaha.
well, knock on wood. That's the thing. I well, okay, so this is interesting. I think that for a long time I've had this idea that if I could have basically at least a weekly get together of music, maybe have other people come for an hour here or there during the week, whatever, but then have a monthly showcase where like I'm bringing different people up and all that. That's long semi been the loose hope. And it just had a show. People are coming tonight to do this quote unquote weekly thing, but this is the first one. So it's interesting to sort of it feels like what is it, Orville, and who's the other Wright brother?
Redenbacher.
Redenbacher. Orville Wright and Orville Redenbacher got together and made
Wilbur, maybe?
a Orville and Wilbur could have been those. If you're gonna name your kid Orville, Wilbur's the next obvious choice.
Next logical step, yeah.
But yeah, so it feels like it's like the vision is not really to do this once. The vision is that this sort of becomes
Yeah.
the rhythm of my life. That's the hope.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like if I get this into the rhythm of my life, and this could, if this actually sustains itself,
Yeah.
it's like I'm there. This is all I really want. I don't need more than this, you
Yeah.
know? And so there's a part of me that is quite, yeah, I just, yeah, we're just in that early, yeah, it's like we've built the plane and now we're going to see if it actually can sustain flight.
I love it. I'm overly obsessed with the idea of you getting someone to video it in a really cool way and maybe just
I
stream it or
know.
just capture it. But don't do that if it gets in the way of the flow of it. But if you could just find someone, you found someone who plays strings and you found someone who sings and you found someone who, plays the tablas.
I did ask another person. I can keep asking around.
I think just stick with the whole like you're looking for someone who thinks it's fun as opposed to someone who's doing a favor.
Yeah, right on.
All right. Well, man, Godspeed. That's
All right,
exciting.
Godspeed to you.
Talk to you.
Thanks. Bye.